Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. Happy Monday! Are you guys having a good start to your week? I am having a fantastic start to my week. I've gotten so much stuff done today, and I'm just in a really great mood today. So I thought, let's get on to reading some meditations because I want to hear what the universe is speaking to me about this week. So I brought the Melody Baby books with me today, and I thought that I would get into them and that I would read the meditations from today. And I also look at the last couple days and see what the meditation said the last couple days before I pick one. I do want to say that the last video that I did over here was about, it was just like telling personal stories about my addiction and recovery and things like that. And I am so passionate in talking about addiction and recovery. And a while ago, I said that I was going to be more committed to making more videos about that over here on this channel. If you have specific questions about addiction and recovery, please leave them in the comment section below, and I will make entire videos about that. That being said, I love talking about any of the lessons I've learned in my life, whether that's about grief, whether it's about marriage, whether it's about relationships, whether it's about removing toxicity from your life, whether it's about just trying to get in a better mood, whether it's about, like stress, whether it's about focusing on positivity, whatever you guys want me to talk about. If you have personal questions or personal topics you want me to talk about, please put it in the comment section below. It doesn't have to be an entire story. If you guys feel comfortable doing that, feel free. But if you just say, hey, Peter, could you address grief or how to get through grief? Or, hey, Peter, like I wake up stressed in the morning. Like how do you deal with that? It doesn't have to be a personal story. If you want to do that, and you can do that in the comment section below, or you can leave a longer message if you want to. If you're not comfortable doing that, please feel free to direct message me on Instagram. That's the only place I'm really active anymore. Or email me. My email is, I believe it's linked below. If it's not, it's on one of my other channels. And I'll put my email below if it's not there already. And then you guys can email me if you just put in the subject, topic for a Peterisms video, and I will do that video and just share some of my, experience, strength and hope about whatever that topic is. Okay, so let's get into the meditations for today. I want to look and see what the meditations are from the language of letting go first. Today is March 24th. I almost cannot believe that we are almost done with March. I was thinking about this the other day. The pool opens at the end of May, and it feels like it doesn't feel like the pool just closed, but it doesn't feel like it was like 6 months ago, and we're coming up on it. I think it's like, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. I mean, this is the 7th month. I mean, it's been a long time since the pool's been open, and I am ready. I was kind of ready for another snowstorm, but in all honesty, I am ready for the pool to be open and hanging out with my friends in the neighborhood. And, when it's nicer outside, people walk by, and I get to be a little bit more social. So I am really ready for, I know spring just started a couple days ago. I am really ready for spring and summer this year. I'm really, really ready for it. Okay, let's get into the meditations. March 24th. Appreciating ourselves. Oh, that might be a good one. Let's read. Yesterday's was flack from setting boundaries. Oh, that's a really good one. I have personal stories about that. Letting go of being a victim, considering commitment. I think I might start with flack from setting boundaries, but let's look in Journey to the Heart and see what that one says for today. Let's see the last couple days on here. I actually haven't read from this one in a while, I think. Tap into life's energy. That was today. Yesterday was comfort yourself. Don't be controlled by love. Ooh, that might be a good one. Nurture the seasons of your soul. Learn to heal yourself. Well, maybe we'll read one from this and one from this one. What do you guys think? We'll read the Don't Be Controlled by Love from Journey to the Heart, and from the Language of Letting Go, we will read flack from setting boundaries. Because this is something that I actually do get asked about quite a bit. People will say, it's really difficult to set boundaries. You talk a lot about it, Peter, but what if it's a family member? What if it's somebody you have to take care of? Like, how do you set boundaries with those people? And then they get mad at me and things. People are going to get mad at you when you set boundaries. I mean, that's just kind of a thing. Like, they're going to get mad at you because first of all, if you're setting new boundaries and you've never done that before, they don't expect that. It is more comfortable for other people to put us into little boxes and know what they can expect from us. When we start changing and growing and healing, and setting boundaries is part of that, setting healthy boundaries is part of that. When we start setting healthy boundaries, people don't know what to do with that sometimes. It makes them very nervous, it makes them uncomfortable, and they don't like it. So sometimes when we set boundaries, some of the things that we'll hear is, what happened to you? You've changed. You're different. I like how you used to be. Like, what's going on with you? Almost kind of like it's an us problem that we're setting boundaries so that we feel more comfortable in the relationship. If you've ever experienced anything like that. I know I definitely have. Most of my friends have. I know my husband has. We've all talked about it. Flack from setting boundaries, March 23rd. So this is yesterday's. And there was a quote from Beyond Codependency. We need to know how far we'll go and how far we'll allow others to go with us. Once we understand this, we can go anywhere. Beyond Codependency. When we own our power to take care of ourselves, set a boundary, say no, change an old pattern, we may get flack from some people. That's okay. We don't have to let their reactions control us, stop us, or influence our decision to take care of ourselves. We don't have to control their reactions to our process of self-care. That is not our responsibility. Amen. We don't have to expect them not to react either. People will react when we do things differently or take assertive action to nurture ourselves, particularly if our decision in some way affects them. Let them have their feelings, let them have their reactions, but continue on your course anyway. If people are used to us behaving in a certain way, they'll attempt to convince us to stay that way to avoid changing the system. If people are used to us saying yes all the time, they may start mumbling and murmuring when we say no. If people are used to us taking care of their responsibilities, feelings, and problems, they may give us some flack when we stop. That's normal. We can learn to live with a little flack in the name of healthy self-care. Not abuse, mind you, flack. If people are used to controlling us through guilt, bullying, and badgering, they may intensify their efforts when we change and refuse to be controlled. That's okay. That's flack too. We don't have to let flack pull us back into old ways if we've decided we want and need to change. We don't have to react to flack or give it much attention. It doesn't deserve it. It will die down. Today I will disregard any flack I receive for changing my behaviors or making other efforts to be myself. So, when I talk about setting boundaries, as I was reading this, I was like, okay, let me think of some concrete examples of how I've set boundaries. I've talked about this a lot, but I think the first major boundary that I ever set in my life was with my mom. And it was after I got sober. My mom was still drinking. For those of you that do not know, my sobriety birthday is December 17th of 1994. My mom's sobriety birthday is June 2nd of 1995. So she got sober almost 6 months after I did. But that 6 months in between, I didn't really see her a lot. My counselor in treatment told me, it's not healthy for you to be around people that are triggering for you. It's not healthy for you to be around people that continue to drink on a regular basis and drink heavily. And I was doing what I was told at that time, most of it. And so I can remember having a conversation with my mom and saying, I'm not supposed to be around a lot of people that are drinking, and you're one of those people. And she was like, at first, she was like, I always joke and say, don't call me Shirley, but she said, Shirley, you're not talking about me. And I was like, yeah, Mom, I am talking about you. And she was put off by it at first. Definitely she was. She was upset. We talk about family secrets. It was not a family secret that my mom, was an alcoholic, but it was something that we tiptoed around. I don't remember having lots of conversations unless they were in the middle of an argument or a fight. It's one of the reasons why today I will never argue, have a long discussion with somebody that is actively drinking, inebriated, drunk. There's no point. You're not going to get your point across. You might as well just go in the other room, go to sleep, hang up the phone, say, we'll have the conversation tomorrow. Don't borrow any resentment. But it is pointless to have conversations with people when they are actively drunk. And so I would say to my mom, I can't have conversations with you when you're drinking because it triggers me, it upsets me, it makes me angry. And she was really kind of upset about it at first, The other example was, I remember sitting right down there on the other side of the loft in the living room, and my mom and I were talking. This was years after we got sober, and I was, at the time, it would have been in my late 20s because I was getting my master's degree. I was in a relationship. My boyfriend and I were living with my first boyfriend after I got sober. We're living together with my best friend. And I was working 40 plus hours a week, taking 15 hours of classes. I was going to meetings. I was working out actively. It was probably the best shape of my life. And I was still trying to see my mom 3 times a week and come by here. And I was sitting there, and she just was going on and on and on about how miserable she is and how lonely she is. And I felt bad for her. I don't know how this came out, but I just said to her, you know, I am not responsible for your happiness. And that was a boundary for me to say, I am no longer taking guilt on, I'm not doing that anymore. And she said, do I make you feel that way? And I said, oh, absolutely you do. You make me feel like I am responsible for you being happy or unhappy. She goes, well, I don't ever want to do that. And things started changing after that. I mean, she needed some reminders, but things started changing. So today in my life, I have a lot of people in my life that drink. I do not have people in my life that drink, but the boundary that I set is I am not having serious conversations with people when they're inebriated. I am not going to get in arguments with people. I won't do it. It's not fair to me, and it's really not fair to the other person. It's not fair to our relationship, number one. Number two is, I have had to, in the 30 years that I've been sober, say to a few people, more than a few actually, if you continue to use this substance or drink, I can no longer be around you because it pains me at my heart. I'm worried about you. I'm willing to get you help if you need it, but no, I can't continue to be around it. And that's been some very, very close people to me in my life. And so I do know what that's like to have to set those boundaries. The other boundary that I have in my life today, in my personal life, is I do not allow people to talk poorly about me to my face. And if they say it behind my back and they say it to somebody else, it depends on the day. Some days I'm really good and I'm just like, let it go. Other days I'm kind of like, no, I'm going to address it. It kind of depends on the seriousness of what they're saying about me. You know, if it's something like, it very rarely happens. It very rarely ever happens. Today, I mean, my circle is so small. But if somebody, today I don't really have people in my life that talk poorly to me or talk badly to me. But I have in my life. I've dated people in the past that did. I mean, a long time ago. And so I think I learned, that. And I can remember somebody said to me years ago, you did not get sober to be a doormat. This was like 20 years ago. And I was like, no, absolutely. I did not get sober to have people talk to me like I'm a piece of crap. I didn't. And even if I wasn't a sober person, none of us deserve to be talked to like we're a piece of crap. It doesn't really happen to me with people in my life today, but it did. And I would have to set boundaries and say, you're not going to talk to me that way. Like, I don't talk to you that way. I'm not, and that's my part of it, right? Like, how am I talking to that person? I'd be like, I don't talk to you that way. I'm not going to be spoken to that way either. That's the one that people have the most issues with. What are you talking about? I'm just joking with you. Well, it doesn't feel like a joke to me. It hurts my feelings and I don't care for it. And you have to kind of be stern with it, Today, if it's somebody that I don't know real well, I can't even remember the last time, it's probably been a couple years. The last time it really happened to me where somebody kind of like spoke down to me a little bit, I'm quick to check somebody. I am. I'll be like, I'm not comfortable with what you just said to me. I don't like that, or I don't like the words you used. I don't, whatever. Like I said, I don't let stuff fly. I just don't today. I'm not constantly, I pick my battles very, very well. I'm not constantly arguing with people, but I also deserve as a human being to not be spoken to in a manner that is disrespectful or patronizing or condescending. I just don't deserve that, and neither do you. So when it talks about setting boundaries, my friend Tanya has talked about this a lot, actually. She and I have both talked about this, that years and years and years ago, when she would start setting boundaries when she first got sober, people would be like, you're different, or they call her the B word. And she'd say, oh, but when I was allowing you to talk to me or do whatever you want to do to me, I wasn't a B. But now that I have standards for myself, then I'm, I'd rather be a B than be spoken to that way. So, I think it's like, and I think women get a really bad connotation. My mom used to talk about this. It's like, like men are assertive and aggressive, or, but women are the B word. My mom would say that all the time. She'd say, if I stand up for myself, somebody's like, why are you being a B? And she'd say, but men, it's like, oh, they're assertive, And she's like, it's complete crap. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think that when you set a boundary, it's saying, I am going to protect myself. My healthiness is more important than me being okay. If you think about a boundary you're not willing to set, and a boundary is where you don't like the way that you're being treated or talked to, and you say, this is not happening anymore. And you stick to it, right? The reason why it's uncomfortable is usually out of comfort for the other person. We don't want to make that person mad. We don't want them upset. We don't want them upset with us. We want to save the relationship. I can tell you, in my past 40 years, I have stayed in a lot of friendships and relationships where I was treated horribly, because I would rather have a friend that treated me horribly or a guy that I was dating that treated me horribly than be alone. And I did that for a long time. No more. I don't do that. I won't do that anymore. You know, I'm going to be spoken to the way that I deserve to be spoken to. And that means that I have to speak to other people the way that they deserve to be spoken to as well. It goes both ways, you know? So when you start setting boundaries, you're going to get flack from it. People are going to they're going to, you know, be uncomfortable with it. I can only say that I've had probably a couple people in my life where I've set a boundary and I've had to reset the boundary and reset it and they continue to test it. And I'm like, you know what? This is a red flag for me. I just don't need this person in my life. You know, I love the idea of red flags and green flags, that green flags are people that are always there for you. You know, if you set a boundary and somebody respects it and it comes back to you and says, you know, I did not realize that I hurt you that way and I am really sorry. That is a green flag. That is a friend to stick around, you know. My best friend Tanya and I have not been friends for 28 years now almost because we got it right always. We have each said things to each other that hurt each other's feelings. But it's about learning and growing. And then when that person says to you, you hurt my feelings, the other person listens and says, I acknowledge that. I hear what you're saying. And I won't do that again. You know, or if I do, check me. And I will, you know, make amends for it immediately and try to fix it in the future. We're none of us perfect people, but we can learn and grow to be better people, you know? Great meditation. I loved that. All right, let's get into Journey to the Heart. Don't be controlled by love. This will be interesting. I have a feeling it'll be different than what I think it's going to be about. March 22nd, don't be controlled by love. Using love to control and manipulate is heartbreaking. It can break the heart of the person doing it. This is very similar to what we were just talking about. It can break the heart of the person it's being done to. So often, controlling through love is done almost unconsciously. It's a dance people do out of habit to get their needs met. Their reasons don't matter, although it's easier to have compassion for those who control unknowingly than those who use the power of love maliciously and viciously. What matters is how you respond if it's being done to you. What matters is that you don't do it to other people. Open your heart and see the truth. Set yourself free. If someone is controlling you by using your love for them or your need to be loved, acknowledge it. If you are doing it to someone else, acknowledge that too. Once you see the truth, you can set yourself free. So much of what we need to do to free our hearts and souls is simply to acknowledge the truth. The rest will happen naturally. Love has no price. It's only love if it's free. I love this meditation. It makes me think about times in my life that I have had people say to me, if you loved me then, which I think is like conditional love, right? It means that, and it's usually used in situations when I think about it in the past where somebody's hurt me and they'll say like, if you loved me, you would forgive me. Or if you love me this, where we stay in a lot of like friendships and relationships with people that don't treat us very well, but we do love them. And that's the problem. And then when they say that to us, it muddies the water. The only example of it that I don't love is when it's used with addicts and alcoholics, because I think it's misunderstood. I think it's not understanding the power of addiction. When family members or friends say, if you loved me, then you wouldn't use drugs and alcohol, or you would stop because I love you so much and I want you to. If love were that powerful, there would be no need for 12-step programs, treatment facilities, churches, California Sober, all the different ways, methadone clinics, Suboxone. There wouldn't be any need for that. If love were that powerful, and I do think that love is powerful, I don't think it's that powerful. I think love can be a motivator for somebody to get clean and sober. I think it can be one of the reasons that people get clean and sober, but I don't think that it can do the work all on its own. And so I think that when people say that, it's like with anything. If you love that person and you want them to change something or you're worried about their health, it doesn't have to just be that. It's like, like, I love you. Please go to the doctor and take care of yourself, right? I don't know that that's necessarily a boundary that I would set. I would never give up on somebody, but I would also offer alternatives. Do you want me to go with you? Do you want me to call for you and set up the appointment? Do you want me to find somebody for you to go to a meeting with? And at that point is when I have to step back and say, I can't do this anymore because I am more worried about you than you are worried about yourself. And I think that that's where you have to get to. But if you're in a relationship where somebody is using a love card as an excuse to get out of a lot of crap, that's some painful stuff. And I can tell you, having gone through that in past relationships, especially when I was using, where people would say that stuff to me, what the biggest part of that is that down the road you look back on it, or I looked back on it and said, I was the one that was being played a fool. But I knew that. I stayed because I really did care about this person. So I don't really have anybody to blame but myself, Love does not hurt. And I know when I say that, people will be like, well, sometimes it does. Well, sure. If you love somebody and they pass away, that hurts. If you love a pet and they pass away, that hurts. If you love somebody and they're going through a tough time, that hurts. You hurt for that person. But love is not the act of somebody hurting you intentionally, saying cruel things to you intentionally, saying mean things to you intentionally. That is not love. And I think that for a long time, that battle, that fighting for love for me, like, oh, I'm going to make them love me. I'm going to convince them to love me. It's like, I'm going to change them. Like, that for me, I thought was like, that was it. That was the secret sauce, right? That if I could just get them to change this, and that really meant that they loved me. That was not natural, and that was not true. And I had to learn it the hard way, you know? And thank God I learned that. I learned that early. So anyway, let me know what you think about those in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.